Hi, everyone. My name is Rue Bott, and I'm a board member with Act to Change. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you to Kathleen, Como, and Carolyn for that really great presentation. Up next, we have our advisory board member and host of Act to Change's Homeroom with Tan series, Tan France.
Hello, hi, how are you? Hello, everyone. Hi, Ruby.
Dan. Thanks for giving me a reason to wear a jacket today.
Very nice.
Go ahead, on with the show. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all well. I actually don't know how much time I've got here. I'm hoping Rue's going to jump back in a moment and let me know exactly how much time I've got. I've got a little thing there also. Richard, help. I wanted to talk to you about what it's like to be a person of color and to be a person of color in a community of mostly white people. I know that there are many of you on here who have experienced injustice, and I wanted to talk to you about the fact that you are not alone. There are so many of us who have graduated from school and college, and we remember what it feels like, and we know that we're going to push to make sure that this is something that we don't all continue to go through generation after generation. I was raised in the UK. My parents are Pakistani. Actually, one of my parents, my mum, her family comes from a place called Kashmir, which is, or Kashmir, if you are one of us, which is just in between India and Pakistan. And being raised in the UK was incredibly interesting for me. It gave me a wonderful grounding, a place that I love very, very much. But I also struggled with a lot of racism, as most people do. When they're a person of color in a small town, when there isn't a lot of information about who we are and what we represent. I really started to experience it when I first got into what we call reception, which I believe you guys call kindergarten. We start school a little earlier than Americans do, and it became apparent almost immediately that I was different. And it wasn't necessarily from my classmates. As I'm sure you all know, kids at that age don't care about differences like color, but it was very clear that older kids really did seem to care, and that was because it's something that they're learning at home. We don't learn to hate each other naturally, or we don't know to hate each other naturally. That's a learned behavior. And as I got into the ages of 5, 6, 7, it was there's a term which drives me insane, which is microaggressions, because I think that people use it way too freely, but these were microaggressions. And not wanting to call me by my actual name, Tanvia or Tan, but instead wanted to call me Tom because it was easier. In French class, I don't know if you have this in your French classes in America, but you have to take French as a kid. In the UK, it's mandatory, and instead of just calling me Tan, they wanted to find a way to call me. Something that they could relate to, which was Thomas, which was incredibly frustrating. So it's something that I sort of struggled with from a very young age. And that was difficult. But I got to a point where in middle school and high school, I started to speak up a lot more. I started to tell people how that made me feel. And that put me in a position to be able to combat some of that anger and some of that hate and some of that frustration that people seem to have for me, because they actually felt a person on the other end. They actually understood what it meant for me to be treated that way and why it wasn't okay. And now I'm in a position of great power. I'm on a Netflix show, and when you're on a Netflix show, and if it's a big Netflix show, people ask you to use your voice, and so that's why I wanted to use my voice now. There are 4 students who are on this call, almost ready. I'm going to introduce them in just a moment, but I want to give you a bit of a background. I'm not actually American. You can hear from my accent. I was raised in the UK. I moved here about 12 years ago. But I've realized that this problem is universal, that we are a minority pretty much everywhere outside of our country, the AAPI community, and every one of us understands what it feels like in school to be othered. And so I want to invite 4 students in who are going to share their experiences. We have Nina, Jalen, Kaylana, and Hadi. Maybe it's Hadi. I'm going to ask them if they can tell me their pronunciation of their names. I think it's very important that we all get that right. So, hello everyone. You're all muted right now. And I would like you all to introduce yourselves. Richard, can you unmute them, or are they going to unmute themselves? And then let's start with Jalen. Will you introduce yourself? Tell me how old you are. Tell me where you are, please. And am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes, my name is Jalen Rabago, and I attend Dream House at the Beach. I live in Hawaii. I'm a 7th grader, and I'm really nervous right now.
Oh, I'm going to manage this. Don't worry about it. Don't be nervous. Okay, you have to explain one thing, though. I don't know how old people are in 7th grade. Our years are different in the UK. How old are you, did you say?
I'm 12 years old.
Oh, yeah, 12. Okay, very young. Okay, nice to meet you, Jalen. Nina, hello, dear. Who are you? Where are you from?
Hi, my name is Nina Owen. I'm a senior at Head Voice School in Oakland, California, so I'm 17. And I'm very excited to be here today.
Lovely to have you. Nina, where are you from? Where are you? I don't know where that school is.
Yeah, Oakland is right outside San Francisco, so the Bay Area.
Okay, thank you so much. Kaylana, hit me with it.
Hello, my name is Kaylana Tuitapo. I'm a 9th grader at Salt Lake Center for Science Education. I am 14 and live in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry. Kaylana, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. We cut out. Will you introduce yourself again, please?
Hello, my name is Kaylana Tuitapo. I'm in 9th grade. I attend Salt Lake Center for Science Education. I'm 14 and I'm based in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yay! I'm based in Salt Lake City, Utah too. Hi, Kaylana. And then we have, is it Hadi or Hadi?
It's Hattie.
Hadi, hello, Hadi.
Well, hi, my name is Hattie Watson, she, her, and I am 10 years old and in the 6th grade at Kansas City Girls Preparatory Academy in Missouri.
Wait, sorry, I missed how old you are. Did you say
I'm
that?
10 years old.
You're 10? Okay, lovely. Thank you so much for joining us, Hadi. Okay, so you're all here because your schools have been nominated to be part of the Homeroom series in order to foster a more inclusive environment for schools. So I want to start by asking, can you tell me about what your school is like when it comes to handling bullying situations? Jalen, can we start with you, please?
Yeah. So personally, my school hasn't had a lot of bullying. We're a pretty new school. We just started last year for 6th grade and then going into 7th, especially now because everything's online. But if we do have a case where there is bullying, my school likes to talk to all the students involved, come to an understanding of what happened and why it happened. And they discuss different ways the student can express how they feel.
And do you find that that's working well? Does it seem to be stopping some of the bullying that's happening?
Yes.
Okay, good. I've got a couple more questions. Then I promise I'm going to move on to one of the others. Do you, if you've ever experienced bullying yourself, do you feel like it's a safe space to be able to say in this forum that you'd mentioned how you feel, how it makes you feel?
Yeah. So my school, we don't call our teachers Mr. Mrs.
Okay.
We call them coaches.
Okay.
Because they're there for support and to help us through our learning. And I feel like we're able to go and talk to them about anything that any problems we're having. I've gone to my teachers a few times with things that I've been having trouble dealing with, and they've really helped me.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you, Jalen. You did great. Don't worry, you did wonderfully. Nina, I'm going to ask you the same question. Tell me how things are managed at your school when it comes to bullying. Do you think it's handled well?
Yeah, so when it comes to handling bullying, I think Head Voice has done a fairly good job in terms of allowing students to raise awareness on the discrimination they've experienced at school. But I'd say one of the greatest fallbacks is that some of these difficult tasks typically fall onto the students rather than some of the adults who have higher positions of power. And so any change that is going to be made is typically student initiated, which honestly isn't a bad thing. It kind of speaks to the power of the younger voices.
Yeah.
But currently, some of the initiatives that are going on include a new offensive language policy, the enforcement of classroom covenants, which are really helpful. We have a new anti-bias and anti-racism curriculum. Those changes are still being implemented, but it's quite a difference. We have a bias incident reporting protocol that I was very lucky to be a part of creating. Also faculty training on restorative justice, which has actually made a large impact on the student experience, especially the student of color experience at my school. And then also just more frequent conversations and discussions that are meant to increase student awareness. And while we have yet to see like the lasting impact of these practices, I'm hopeful that they will have a lasting impact at Head Voice, and I think they will if we continue to enforce them.
How long has this been happening? With these policy changes that come into place, is it recent?
Yes, very recent. Last semester, actually, so second semester of my junior year, we had obviously coronavirus and quarantine, and it just raised a lot of social justice awareness, and with the Black Lives Matter movement, it all kind of just sparked this really large student-led momentum for these changes. So there were a lot of demands that were made by students, and I would say it was a very powerful semester to be a part of.
Good.
And it's ongoing, so that's what's great about it.
Good. Well, let's hope it continues on, as you said, but hopefully there's a world where we don't need all of this in the future. People are kind to all of us, and we get to be equal. Thank you, Nina. Kaylana, how about you? How about at your school?
When it comes to handling bullying situations, my school has resources for families. So families can go together to workshops to discuss about bullying and racism and get the help that they need through there. We also, our counselors every year come and lead a workshop in one of our classes talking about bullying and how we can stop it and how we can identify it and call it out. So.
And when bullying is experienced at school, do you find that it's relatively not easy, but comfortable enough for you to tell someone at school? Is there somebody for you to speak to if something were to happen? And I'm not just speaking about you personally. If somebody does experience bullying at school, you would mention that there's a program for families, but if you're not comfortable telling a parent, is there somebody at school that one can go to?
Yes, there's, since our school is very small, we have close relationships with our teachers, so we can go to our teachers if we need anything.
Good.
Or we can also talk to our counselors.
Good. Okay, thank you, Kalana. And then Hattie, how about you?
So at my school, we try to treat each other with sisterhood, which means that we help and support each other with understanding and kindness. We have lots of opportunities to have brave and open conversations. And I think that we are less likely to have bullying because of this. And since we also have time to learn about each other and what we all are experiencing in our own lives. We are still a new school. We're just 2 years old. And we're definitely working on creating a culture where all students can be themselves and be valued.
Thank you, Hattie. Hattie, I'm going to ask you another question. What do you think, or how do you think, things can be better at your school when it comes to bullying? What could be done to really stop it in future?
So we know that the education system was built by and for white people, so we can't be too surprised when there's bullying around race. And I know race is a social construct, but we live in a very racialized society, so we all have internalized messaging about it. If schools want to reduce bullying, then they should decolonize their curriculums and decenter whiteness so that all students have the opportunity to be valued. At my school, this means that we are learning about history from the perspective of the people who are oppressed and not those who colonized.
Hattie, who are you? You are one special young lady. My goodness me. If somebody asked me that question at your age, I would not have had that beautiful of an answer. Thank you so much. Okay, Lana, same question to you. What do you think could be done in a better way for us to really get to the point where we're tackling bullying head on? It's no longer an issue.
Well, I don't know if I can say it as beautifully as Hattie did, but just the same thing, changing the curriculum to make it more inclusive to all and to teach kids to learn about other like everybody's differences and to be open about them.
Do you find that in the school that you're in now, do they talk about differences of their students within the school? Is there an opportunity to learn?
Could you rephrase the question?
Yes, sure. For example, if there's an Indian person that joins your school, is there an opportunity for you to learn about the culture of the people that actually are in your school? So let's say, for example, you have Indian people, Hawaiian people, and then white people. We don't just need a white curriculum. Is there an opportunity for you to really understand where the other people in your school are from and what their experiences are? Do they teach any of that?
Not really. Only when we introduce ourselves.
Okay.
When we do projects about ourselves, but other than that, that needs to change. We need to have cultural learning in our education.
Good. Yeah, I think that's something that could be done in a better way to make sure that everyone feels seen in their school and understood. Nina, how about you?
Yeah, I think just continuing to speak up and raise as much awareness as we can will enable change to be for the better, because educating a greater pool of people will generate that momentum. And the more support it is, the greater change we will be able to make, not only within our academic community, but within our personal communities as well. And I also think it's important that we really try not to internalize incidents of bullying or racism and instead try our hardest to let the offender know that their words are harmful. And yes, I know that's much easier said than done. That is a very challenging thing to do, and it takes time to be able to be confident to do that. But a preliminary step would be to talk to a trusted teacher or a peer that could help you talk through your thoughts. And then maybe eventually you can speak to the offender and educate them that the impact of their words is harmful.
I agree with you completely. I think that giving them a real understanding of what they're doing to that person when they're saying those things is a way of helping to combat that. I think that a lot of the time people will say something thinking, I can lump them all into the same group. You don't have feelings. But when you really do articulate how it makes you feel, maybe that's the thing that changes their mind about whether they should say that word so flippantly again.
Exactly.
Thank you, Nina. And Jalen, how about your school? Do you think that anything could be better as far as educating people on the diversity of the people at your school and hoping to combat bullying?
Yes, I feel like we could have more, like our school is like kind of still working things out. It's like a really small school and we're still trying to figure out like this whole entire like even what's happening right now. It's hard, like it's just like really thinking about like inclusion and what could possibly happen. And I feel like teaching staff about these things that are going on, like bullying and how to deal with it too, and inclusion, it's really important. So when a situation does come up, the staff is prepared and we know what to do in that situation. We personally like we don't have a lot of extra, like, I don't know how to explain it, but like we don't really have anything dedicated to like anti-bullying really. But I feel like it's important to learn about it and what happens when it does like happen to someone, like how it affects them.
So then I'm going to throw this this question to you. Have you ever experienced bullying or seen bullying happen around your school? Can you give me examples of that, or any bullying online that you've seen?
Yeah, so there was about 2 like incidences where there was bullying. There was one where so there was one that happened in the bathrooms. So we have to go in partners to go to the bathrooms because our school was still figuring things out. So our school was in the middle of a shopping center. So it was like all public bathrooms. So to make sure nothing happened, we all had to go in pairs, but that ended up in some name calling and some bullying. And there was also one where we were still going to school and like in person last year, and coronavirus, like there was the outbreak. One of my friends, they were like kind of like tormented because of their race.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nina, thank you for sharing that, Jalen. Nina, I'm going to throw the same question to you. Have you ever experienced racism or seen, bullying? And have you seen it happen within your school or online? If so, can you give us any examples of that?
I've definitely experienced and witnessed microaggressions, whether that just, they're all race-based and very prevalent within especially the middle school because they don't have much awareness on what microaggressions are specifically. So it was actually the year when I was in 7th grade that they first implemented a microaggression training program or just education around that. And I think I definitely saw a change in student behavior, but there were still things that were just considered jokes by these students because they themselves weren't on the receiving ends of these words. So, you know, they don't know how it makes people feel. Again, bringing back to the importance of telling them. And then in terms of larger incidents of bullying or racism, I've probably only heard through word of mouth, but even then, no, I would say.
Yeah.
And then for social media, it hasn't really taken a role in bullying at Head Royce. So I also can't say I've witnessed or experienced cyberbullying really. And I guess that is lucky of me to be able to say that. Yeah.
Obviously, the conversations over the last few months in particular have really changed when it comes to race and what people are willing to accept and not accept. And I think the term microaggression has become a word that many people are now getting used to, or they hear, but they don't necessarily understand, because we don't really talk about, we're not trained to talk about race and identity when we're younger. So when you see, if you were to see bullying that is linked to racism, do you find that there are people in school, like teachers, that you could speak to, counselors that you could speak to, family that you could speak to talk about specifically bullying that's related to race?
Yeah, I would say I definitely feel like I can. I'm a part of my school's Asia Club, which is a very safe environment and super supportive and welcoming of all stories. And we actually delve deeply into these discussions really frequently with our faculty leaders and other student members, which I think fosters a really strong community and support system that I'm extremely grateful to have and have had throughout my high school years. And I think that has made an impact in how I handle incidents of racism or bullying at my school. So again, I'm very lucky to have that space.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I would do without it. It's difficult during the pandemic because, you know, we can't meet in person during our lunchtime in that one room. And so we're trying our very best to maintain that connection with one another. And it's difficult, but it's better than nothing for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you. Kaylani, sorry. One of my closest friends is called Kaylani, and I'm just going to, apparently I'm mixing you up. Okay, so throughout 2020, we've seen an increase in incidents of bullying and even physical attacks on Asian Americans because of racism around COVID-19. Have you seen anything like this at your school? And if so, do you speak with your family about it? I mean, we're in Salt Lake. I know we don't have a lot of Asian Americans in here in our state, but I think that makes it even more apparent when we are at school. We stand out, and so I wondered if you've experienced anything like that at school, where you've seen this happen to classmates, and how has that worked out with it, whether it be with teachers or family?
So I actually have like personal experience with racism due
Okay.
to COVID-19. When it was first going on, people would make jokes about how I looked and say, like you have the coronavirus because you're Asian, or
Mhm.
like you look Asian. I am Asian, by the way. But so I'm talking with my parents and talking to my sisters, since they have similar experiences that I do. I felt like comforted knowing that like I'm not the only one going through it,
Yeah.
but it's also just a really hard thing just like to go through anyway.
I do love that you have family who can support you through it, but just because you feel less alone doesn't mean you feel any better
Yeah.
about the situation. Were you able to address it at school? Was anybody able to help put a stop to this?
Um, I wasn't able to talk about it in school.
Okay. I'm going to probe just a little bit further, and then I promise you I'm done. When you told your family, did they offer any solutions on how you can maybe address it?
Actually, like when the person like said those jokes to me, I told them like why that wasn't right and
Good.
like why that was wrong. I'm very like vocal when it comes to bullying and racism because
Good.
I, personal experiences, but also I don't want anyone to go through that.
Good.
So I like I stopped it right then and there. And
Good.
then my mom offered to, call up the school, but I was like, no, no, no. Because if you know my mom, like, you don't want her to get involved with the school. But
Believe me, I know your mom because I know any Asian mom. I'm surrounded by Asian moms myself. You don't want to mess with them.
yeah.
I know. I know. Well, thank you for sharing the story. I know it's not easy sharing, but I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And I'm so glad you were in a position to stand up for yourself and say, "This is not okay." If you have the strength, please continue to do that, because a lot of people don't have the strength that you have, and they will need somebody like you to be able to say that is not okay. Hari, the same question for you. I know your school's a little different, but tell me about how things have been since COVID when it comes to Asian Americans at your school. Have you found that anyone's been picked on or bullied because of this?
Well, I live in a a liberal city inside of a very conservative state. So like I don't have any examples in my school, but I have examples in my community. So for example, last week our trans inclusive Black Lives Matter sign was broken that we had in our front yard. So I haven't experienced any like blatant racism directed towards me during COVID. But I do also know that my parents do new or different things now to make sure that me and my siblings are safe. Like when we went camping this summer in rural Missouri, because that's what we like to do, only my dad and my white passing siblings were allowed to go into the stores. And my mom also says that we have to try really hard not to make coughing sounds or cough in public when we are with
Wow.
her.
We're running out of time, but I want to ask you one quick question. How did it make you feel when your mom told you that?
Like, it just made me, like, I understand, because, like, I have younger siblings, so I kind of have to be, like, the one who understands and can explain to them. So I understood why she told us that. But it was just frustrating to me because, like, nobody should be copied in public. But, like, it shouldn't be, like, the reason that we have to, like, we shouldn't need to, like, not make copying sounds in public. Like, people should just be accepting, like, oh, those are young kids. Like, young kids make weird sounds. Like, we shouldn't have to hide that because we're with our mom and we look more Asian when we're with her.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Hetty. And then I've got one last question for you all. What are you really hoping to get out of these homeroom conversations, and why did you apply? Why should others apply? I'm looking for quick answers. If you don't mind, Jalen, I'm going to start with you because I've only got a minute left.
Okay, so I hope to learn more about bullying and what to do when it occurs. And I didn't really apply. I was kind of like, oh, you want to do this? And I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Jalen. Nina, you?
Yeah, I think hearing your stories and the challenges you've overcome will enable the student body to engage with these experiences that they most likely can relate to, and also just learn how to navigate through this conversation. And I think that's really important, understanding how to navigate these really difficult times. I like that a lot.
Kelana?
I applied to Homeroom because I saw that any cultural learning was very surface-based, and I wanted it to go deeper, and so that we would understand each other more and understand everybody in the world. Everybody should apply to this program because bullying is universal, and we all need to start this change by having meaningful conversations.
Agreed. Thank you, Kelana. And Hadi, how about you, sweetheart?
I feel really excited because my school has predominantly non-Asian kids, and it has been really cool to share about being a part of this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much, Hadi. And thank you to all of you. Jalen, Nina, Kelana, Hadi, it was so lovely to meet you. Thank you for joining, and thank you for being so vulnerable and open. I know that it will help the people that are watching, so thank you so much. And now I believe we're being joined by Malik. Malik Bancholi, who is a sweetheart. Hi, Malik. How are you?
Hi. Oh my gosh, Tan, that was amazing. Before you guys hop off, I was going to say bye. Thank you so much, Jalen and Nina and Kaylana and Hattie. We already lost you, but you all were wonderful, and I'm sure you felt this, Tan. But I literally just like seeing these young people speaking so intelligently and openly and emotionally about what they're experiencing gives me a lot of sadness around the things they're experiencing, but also so much hope around that they're talking about it.
Same. All I was thinking was, I am so hopeful for our future in this country if we've got people like this who, these 4 young ladies who are doing great work on the ground, trying to do all they can to quash bullying in their schools and racism. I was so impressed by all of them.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing it. And Tan, if you want to stay in for a second, I just want to make sure that for those of you who are tuning in who, just in case you didn't know, Act to Change, I think Tan touched on this, but just to like really clarify, Act to Change recently collected nominations from schools for this program called Homeroom with Tan, and each of the students that you just heard from on the panel were from one of the schools that have already won a visit with Tan. Well, they'll be talking about racism and bullying just in the way that you already saw, also about kids of color standing together with Black Lives Matter. And I'm excited today to announce the first 9 schools. I don't know if you know this, Tan, but we have 9 schools who have been selected for their own workshops with you, and they were selected because of their overall unyielding commitment to diversity and inclusion for all. Right. So I'm just going to go through them really fast so that you know where you're going. You're going to be going to Inglemoor High School in Kenmore, Washington, to the Head Royce School in Oakland, California, from the Great Island of Hawaii, Dream House Eva Beach Public Charter School in Kailua. I hope I'm saying these words right. The wonderful city of Los Angeles, California, the Ambassador School of Global Leadership. From Colorado, Brighton High School in San Jose, California, Andrew P. Hill High School, and then from your own hometown, Tan, in Salt Lake City, Utah, the Salt Lake Center for Science Education. And then, there's more. In the amazing Kansas City, the Kansas City Girls Preparatory Academy. And again, from Los Angeles, Da Vinci Rise high school. So Tan, you have a full plate ahead of you.
Very busy, but I'm excited to hear what these young minds have to say about what they're going through. I'm so excited.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing it. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing time, and we'll definitely do a check-in, I'm sure, on one of these calls again. Thank you for being here.
Yes, please. Of course. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Bye.